Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be taking an in-depth analysis into this full moon in Aries that we have playing out right now, happening Thursday, October 17th, 11:27 Universal Time, 7:27 a.m. Eastern Time. So, you know, you can time adjust that to wherever you're at in the world. And it's happening in exactly 24 degrees and 35 minutes of the signs of Aries and Libra. Now, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening in the context of this full moon. I will tell you, right up front, this could be a very conflict-oriented period of time. A lot of people are likely to be very fired up, like passions are probably running very high, and a lot of people are going to be like rebelling, bucking the system, like there's going to be a lot of things that are uncovered here, and people generally are like not going to be having it anymore. There's likely also to be like a lot of like power struggles and confrontations and stuff going on in the context of like individuals and authority figures. Okay. We have a grand cardinal cross that is playing out as we hit the midpoint of our Libra season this year and experience this full moon in Aries energy. Aries is a sign ruled by Mars, so it's already, kind of like an amped up, like lit, very just like firepower type of energy. But the setup here is looking like it could just be, we are probably going to want to proceed with caution, have your wits about you, like make good choices over this next couple of weeks, situational awareness, like self-discipline, trying not to allow ourselves to be too like hyper emotionally reactive. Those are just probably like some good tools to carry with us in our tool belt as we move through this period of time. But yeah, it really is looking like, things are coming to a head, like things are coming to a breaking point, and there is a definite like break from the status quo here. Okay, like things cannot continue to go on in some type of way. And again, these very powerful forces that could be coming up against each other, most likely one representing the past and one representing like sort of either like the collective, like the whole, and like the collective energy, or like a future path that is in the process of like coming into formation now somehow. But, one thing that we can be pretty sure of as we move through this period of time, there's just likely to be some like upsets to the peace, people taking back power, and an air sort of like rebellion and like revolution could be going on. And I'll also tell you, it's like Scorpio season came early this year, guys. We have very, very, very strong scorpionic energy that is just permeating through this entire, even though it's an Aries full moon, it is leaning on like the Scorpio end of Mars very strongly as a result of several things that are playing out. This is change, you guys. This is transformation. This is the point of no return. Like I've been saying, a lot of things that started to maybe come up this past April, okay, like 6 months ago now, especially, maybe having aligned with that big eclipse that we had. We are exiting our eclipse season right now. Of course, this is the midpoint. The Aries full moon is the midpoint of the Libra new moon cycle, which, if you guys remember, a couple weeks back was also a solar eclipse that was happening with the South Node, letting us know that not only was this Libra cycle itself from, the Libra new moon to the Scorpio moon, but also this current eclipse cycle that we are in, from this eclipse to the eclipse cycle that's happening next spring. We're talking about like the beginning of the end of something, okay? And what is it the beginning of the end of? Like, it's clearly Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn, so prominent and dominant right now. It's clearly like the beginning of the end of the reigns of the power and control dynamics of like the way that things have been structured and sort of like our 3D reality in the past. Like the way that power has been held and disseminated and used to kind of like control and like form the manifestations in our physical 3D world, like the way that life has operated essentially. And again, like the power mechanisms behind it, that's all about to change here. A lot is going to come out. A lot is going to be revealed. We're going to see things in a very multi-dimensional way. There's going to be a level of complexity that comes through here that maybe we are not used to, like, you know, being so immersed in, or is just like something that we're drawn to. Or there's also going to be like a level of attraction for the mystery, you know, seeing behind the curtain, getting to the root of things, figuring things out. As I said, the Scorpio energy is very, very strong here, and we haven't even gotten to Scorpio season yet. It is a detective season, you guys, so we're going to be finding some things out. This is a massively transformative, like, situation that we have going on. There are going to be powerful forces that are probably going to come to a head in some type of a way. Themes also of, you know, trauma, wounding, healing, pain, but also healing, wisdom gained, and the way that the self is like redefined, empowered, and liberated through, you know, what we overcome in this period of time. And also, you know, upsets to the peace generally. Peace, comfort, relationship dynamics could really be sort of like on the chopping block right now. And it should be interesting times, you guys. I think that's a pretty safe thing to say as we approach this energy and this chart. So that being said, let's get more specifically into it. That's just sort of my like blanket overview of some things that we might want to be aware of and perhaps could see unfold as we start moving into this energy. But it's also going to be, you know, as I was saying, like a very firepower. People are going to be fired up. Passions are going to be running high. You know, it's a very action oriented time. Like, people are going to be ready to act. But it's very important that we want to make sure that we are making wise choices. There's really three main things that are happening along with this chart that I kind of want to give you guys up front before I go off on all these tangents and down all these rabbit holes with this energy and like get lost in terms of like the basic fundamentals. For me, I want to make sure I list the transits to you. So first of all, the moon itself in the sign of Aries is in a real close conjunction to Chiron. So if you guys have been following my work, if you're like pretty deep into astrology, you know, or mythology, or you know about Chiron, you know this is a very powerful influence. It is the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype, and essentially like it brings us to our like lowest lows so that we can learn to like release ourselves from that and actually ascend to our highest highs. It's this process of personal alchemization, without getting into too much detail right now, where we learn over time to transmute essentially our states of victimhood and our pain and our wounding and our trauma into self-mastery, wisdom gained through experience that then allows us to become a much more conscious like creator of our experiences, instead of sort of being at the whim of the subconscious programming that we have yet to uncover and learn to reprogram, which, you know, is a part of that process as well. So whenever we're dealing with a Chiron energy, a lot of times it can bring up themes of trauma, wounding, pain, and betrayal and abandonment. In the sign of Aries, it's going to have to do with like the way that we have been wounded or experienced pain and how it has impacted our sense of self. Okay. And remember, a lot of the lessons that this energy is bringing to us right now, as we are, as I mentioned, transitioning on this greater cosmic level into the age of Aquarius, which is going to begin to become quite evident after we pass through this like mid-November threshold and Pluto re-enters the sign of Aquarius once and for all. We are going to begin over the course of the next 20 years to perceive this Aquarian energy much more, you know, strongly and as a much more dominant force in just the way that things are presenting themselves in our physical reality. However, part of this process, and I feel like the Chiron element right now is very much sort of like intertwined with this process of self-empowerment that is a requirement as we move towards the stronger Aquarian energy, which is like nudging all of us ultimately towards this phase of, you know, self-actualization that we go through, activating destiny, coming into alignment with our higher selves, like discovering and moving down a path in alignment with some type of true potential waiting to be activated within us. That is the type of experience that universe is, I feel like, going to be providing over the course of the next 20 years as we move more strongly into this Aquarian energy, which really has a lot to do with awakening us to like our authentic potential, our authentic purpose, and actually like how that contributes or translates into a service that fills a void in the greater overall good. And we will get into a lot more Aquarius discussions in the future as we move further into that energy. But anyways, the Chiron element is very strong here. It's with the full moon itself. This could be a very emotional time. You could be feeling like very emotionally vulnerable. There could be a strong anger that is coming as a result of ways that we've been harmed or wronged by others in the past, or where our need to like please or appease others or keep the peace somehow has like had a negative impact on ourselves that we're no longer willing to just like sit down and take. That is an experience that, you know, could be reflected through this full moon, okay, with the conjunction to Chiron. The second big thing that we have going on is like this cardinal square, okay, because of Pluto's position in the end of Capricorn and Mars's position in the sign of Cancer. Mars is in a square to the full moon, and Pluto is also in a square to the full moon, and these are in cardinal signs. Now, this is not exact, okay? Pluto's at 29 degrees of Capricorn. We know Mars is at 23 degrees of Cancer, so there's a 6-degree orb between that opposition. However, it's building right now. We have not had this opposition between Mars and Pluto yet. That is something that's going to be coming up within the next several days. Within the next 2 weeks, we are going to have a Mars-Pluto opposition. That is the energy that is bringing this, like, these powerful confrontations, okay, and these battles of wills and these power struggles on like the mightiest of levels, okay, most likely again between an older version of something and like a younger up and coming or like more just like feisty, fiery version of something, okay. This is like silent power versus like overt like outward power, and these clashes that are, you know, facing off, dueling off. It's going to be probably just like kind of intense out there. But anyways, because we've got Mars and Pluto drawing into this pending opposition, even though it's not exact, like I said, like this is a like incoming aspect that we've got going on, and the full moon is at 25 degrees of Libra and Aries, or 24 or 35, but I'm rounding up to 25 degrees because that is the Sabian symbol placement that we will be looking at and talking about as we get through this report. But anyways, 25 degrees, 23 degrees, 29 degrees, like it's close, it's tight enough, and this is a grand cardinal cross that we've got going on. This is one of the most challenging aspects in astrology. However, once overcome, it also produces like the best possible results. Very interesting. But that is where the tension is coming from. That is where the intensity is coming from, for sure. You know, not only is it the cardinal cross we've got going on, but then we've got that Chiron with the moon. So we've got the moon conjunct Chiron in Aries, the sun in Libra, Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then Mars in the sign of Cancer. And we'll get into it. Let me just tell you the third thing that I'm looking at, and this is actually a positive. This is on the upside. There is something lucky. Like there are like strokes of luck going on, like being at the right place at the right time or good fortune. But I'm telling you guys, like our success here comes through our ability to apply wisdom through experience and to make good choices, even if, you know, we feel like emotionally reacting and doing something, using reason and not just reaction, okay? That is where we're likely to experience the most successful results. We have Jupiter in a very tight aspect as well to the full moon, a sextile to the moon, an actual trine to the sun. So there is growth that is coming with this, you guys. There is wisdom, there is truth that is coming with this. Things are being revealed. Like nothing can hide in the shadows here. And that also is where a lot of this conflict is going to be coming from, because a lot of things are going to be fighting not to be exposed, fighting to maintain the status quo, fighting to maintain the control, when it's just really not energetically possible anymore. So those are the three things, the big three aspects I'm looking at. We also happen to have Venus, who's ruling the position of the sun in Libra right now, in an exact sextile to Pluto at 29 degrees of the sign of Scorpio. And that is something that's actually playing into all this scorpionic energy. So we'll talk about that as well. And I guess on that note, we might as well just talk about where all the Scorpio flavor is coming from. Because again, this is deep. This is intense. This is powerful. This is very, very transformative. It could be happening on an internal level. Like we could be coming up against things within ourselves that we are just no longer, that we are like consciously deciding like are not going to control us on some level anymore. Or like people are going to be breaking addictions. Like people are going to be getting out of like toxic or abusive or codependent relationships. Like people are going to be experiencing something that in a lot of ways is like very empowering, re-empowering for the authentic self. This is also going to be a huge like repulsion from the shallow, the superficial, the surface level, with Venus at 29 degrees of Scorpio in an exact sextile to Pluto, and she's ruling the position of the sun for this full moon. Yeah, like we're gonna be wanting to deeply connect, like wanting to clear things up, purge, regenerate, like on those deeper levels. We're really going to be oriented, and Mercury is also in Scorpio. We're really going to be oriented towards the darker side of things, with Jupiter there like shining the light, figuring it out, seeing the whole story, so that we can make good decisions about how to break ourselves away from the past and move forward, and essentially like what we need to end right now so that we can pursue something that is like awakening on a deeper level within us, that we are like intrigued or interested to continue to investigate. I just feel like that's the vibe, you guys. So anyways, we've got even though this is a full moon in Aries, as I said, it's in a square to Mars and Pluto. Mars and Pluto in an opposition, they are the co-rulers of the sign of Scorpio. When we've got Mars energy, which Mars is the ruler, okay, of the Aries moon. Aries is ruled by Mars. So the moon in the sign of Aries is actually ruled by Mars. With Mars in an opposition to Pluto, this is I would say the darker side of the Mars energy. It's the more slow burn, like deep passion, not as overt and like gung-ho, action oriented, I'm the leader. It's more like, again, Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, the behind the scenes power that's really pulling the strings, that's not necessarily like just so overt or on the surface about it. Scorpio, right? So we've got the moon ruled by Mars in the sign of Aries, yes, but Mars is doing this dance with Pluto right now, so it is just intensifying that Martian energy. So that is one thing that is coloring us more towards Scorpio, even though we're in an Aries moon Libra season right now. Secondly, as I mentioned, Venus ruling the sign of Libra, where the sun is for this full moon, and the season that we're in right now, she is at 29 degrees of Scorpio, which is probably one of the most, powerful, intense scorpionic degrees. It's the critical degree of that sign. So Venus is in the sign of Scorpio, really, really engaged in that scorpionic energy as well, ruling the position of the sun. So both the position of the moon and the position of the sun are directly connected to Scorpio vibes. And she's also in that exact sextile to Pluto, which is deepening this Scorpio vibe even more. Like Venus Pluto, that whole dynamic is very like Scorpio oriented in nature, okay? And then we're also talking about Mercury, the mind, currently translating through the sign of Scorpio right now as well, and that is our mentality. Like aside from the whole Venus Mars dynamic and the Aries Libra dynamic associated with it, especially by way of this moon, we also have Mercury, the mind, translating Scorpio right now, like really engaging our thoughts and like our interests and stuff in that same direction. So very, very profound-ish, I would say, Scorpio energy coming through, considering we're not in Scorpio season yet, but it's going to probably feel like an extended Scorpio season this year. Also, if that wasn't enough, the position of the sun at 25 degrees of Libra for the Sabian symbol placement for this full moon, that Sabian symbol is the sight of an autumn leaf, brings to the pilgrim the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death, which may be about the most scorpionic symbol in all of the Sabian symbols. So we're talking about a pilgrim in the fall, in the harvest season, an autumn leaf, bringing the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. And with the scorpionic energy, like that deep penetrating like gaze and insight, it's almost x-ray vision. I was saying that in one of my other videos. We really are being gifted, I would say, with x-ray vision as we move through this period of time, which that Jupiter energy is also indicating, because Jupiter, as I mentioned, one of the three main things going on with this full moon is in both the sextile to the moon in Aries and the trine, air sign trine, to the sun right now in the sign of Libra, because Jupiter is transiting through Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Scorpio. So that is that x-ray vision. So we've got this ability, Jupiter gives us the ability to like see the bigger picture, to broaden our perspective on things, to open and expand our mind. But the ruler of the sign where Jupiter is doing that right now is in the sign of Scorpio, helping us to see like all the deep nooks and crannies, like really shining that light in there, getting to the bottom, getting to the core, getting to the root, like being able to figure things out on their like deepest and most complex levels. And then this energy is also like in the trine and in the sextile, like tied right into facilitating the changes and the breakthroughs that are trying to be made right now as well, in the context of the past and the future, the past giving way to the future, the past relinquishing and releasing its like grip and stranglehold that it's had on the present as we have been trying to move forward into the future. But because, you know, just of kind of how difficult things are generally, I feel like probably at every like buffer between ages, and that's really what it is. You know, people have been transition ages are 1,000-year periods of time, 2,000-year periods of time. It's not like one day we're in one and then we wake up the other day and we're in another. There, from my understanding, is, you know, a good couple 100-year buffer zone in between the ages where we're fading out of one energy and then another energy is becoming stronger, and we're like, you know, emerging, transitioning into that energy. And we've been going through this process. People were writing about the age of Aquarius 100 years ago. I have astrology books of people writing and talking about that we were moving and entering into the age of Aquarius, and they were the first, okay? And we've come this far now, but we're really at like a very condensed transition point right now. Like these, you know how through all of like time and space and everything, there are just periods of time where it's like a year, but it's like a decade happens in that year. I feel like that's where we're at energetically right now in terms of the aspects that are coming in, like the way that it's impacting us as individuals in terms of our energy bodies, the way that it's impacting the energies that are and are not supported on the planet, and the manifestations that were associated with them that therefore are and are no longer supported on the planet. And we're going through a big release period where a lot that has been functioning here and has been like able to succeed is gonna like undergo some type of, you know, collapse or destruction or recession or just fade away, dissolve, like something like that, as the foundations, that like energetic foundations that a lot of things, these things were built on, again, like coming from the power structures associated with them, no longer resonate with the decentralized power structure that is coming in and that is going to take dominance and prominence as we move forth over the course of the next 20 years, as Pluto transitions into Aquarius, does the Pluto Aquarius transit, this will root that new Aquarian energy into this period of time. And this next 20 years is going to be like epic, I think, in terms of the literally like era turning, age turning shifts and changes, especially in the way that we are thinking about and perceiving reality, okay, as we move forth into the future and become more and more immersed in and engaged with the Aquarian frequencies that are going to begin more and more like permeating our experiences, and our mind is going to be interacting with more and more. So this full moon, you guys, represents, I feel like, again, you know, we could say the beginning of the end, but that is just a 6-month period that we're in right now. We're actually in the midpoint of that Libra cycle that was all about that. And so this could be like the battle waging or raging between the octaves as they vie for, you know, dominance energetically moving forward. But I've also been saying, if you guys have watched my past couple of videos, I've been talking about how this Libra season, specifically in the fact that we're in the season of Libra, about the scales, like there's something about the scales energetically being tipped in favor of this new energy that is coming in now. As a result, I think of Pluto's station, and then we have this Pluto stationing direct, preparing to exit the sign of Capricorn, and then we've got this full moon set up with this grand cardinal cross with Mars and Pluto, Mars in the sign of Cancer. That is significant, you guys. Cancer is ruled by the moon. The moon is about the people. It's about like the collective. Mars is in the sign of the collective. This to me is the warrior rising, okay? The warrior, I think universe is activating the warrior archetype on a greater collective level. And I do think because of the Jupiter energy there as well, and also the Chiron energy, this is going to like lean towards the spiritual warrior, the wise warrior, more so than like the ruthless, just like bombastic warrior. Okay, like there's a refinedness, there's like a wisdom through experience applied in the context of conquest that this is bringing through, because again of the Chiron placement that is all about ultimately breaking karmic cycles and self-mastery. And then we're talking about Jupiter, which is also about honor and wisdom and integrity, wisdom gained through experience, coming through with both of these. So, you know, there's a powerful transformation underway. There could be a need to fight for it. I am not going to shy away from saying I feel like this is a red flag period of time for me. I think we should be proceeding with caution. I think that we need to practice self-awareness, self-discipline, be careful overreacting to things, reason, not just spontaneous reactions. This is what is going to suit us, I feel, as we move through this energy. Any way you slice it, though, it is a grand cardinal cross. It looks like powerful confrontations, things coming to a head. There will probably be an increase in violence and attacks on things, on people, on ideas, on systems, okay, over this period of time. This energy is going to be triggering people to go all in on things as well, give it all they got, no holding back, like fight to the death type of thing. So there's also that, and things that have been going on behind the scenes are going to be exposed with this, especially in relation to authority figures, government, also reputation, career, home, family, things to do with roots, local communities, legal and financial situations, relationship dynamics, and also this ongoing theme that we've been dealing with, the Venus represented industries as well, fashion, music, like art, entertainment, like beauty, design. Like there's likely to be the dark underbelly of a lot of that stuff that is exposed, because there is a restoration in feminine energy that is underway right now as well. The divine feminine energy collectively on the planet, the divine feminine energy body is being cleaned up. There has been an inversion and a distortion that has essentially been like holding the properly functioning feminine energy hostage, and everything, and the proper and aligned growth associated with integrated feminine energy hostage as well. And as a result of that, a lot of things have been growing in a very inverted and distorted fashion, in a way that they can't come into alignment with what they're truly supposed to be. And so another facet of this phase of self-empowerment right now is also this release of this distortion of this feminine energy that has, again, been like holding us hostage to something detached from our true selves. And that is one of the functions right now, in terms of, we've also had a black moon transit going on in the sign of Libra that was very, very prominent over this past couple of weeks. And Venus continues to be in this scorpionic underworld, Pluto, like purge, regeneration, transformation, purification type of energy going on. So there is a recalibration in the feminine energy directly related to the self-empowerment that is happening in the context of the masculine energy. It's Venus and Mars, masculine and feminine, are both being reintegrated in a way that is going to facilitate our like process to move forward with things, and also again help us to understand how much more powerful we really are than maybe we had perceived ourselves to be. And it's going to show us our potential and our ability to achieve that, and it's going to open up a lot of opportunities to us, and it's also going to really radically change what and who we are attracting into our experiences moving forward. And that's, you know, a whole nother outcome of a lot of what we go through right now. But there is sort of this reintegration of the masculine and the feminine energy that is working itself out through this period of time as well, which is of course only going to help things improve after we get through this beginning of the end, kind of like more destructive phase where we're figuring everything out, seeing the truth, getting to the bottom, you know, uncovering who's really pulling those strings, where the real power is, and people are going to begin taking power back moving forward. As I was saying, the sign of Cancer, this is about the collective energy. With Mars there, this is and with Chiron and the moon and Mars actually are in a mutual reception. Mars is in the sign of Cancer. The moon is in the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. So we've got a fusion and a blending of this Mars moon energy. Now, on one hand, this is going to make us fiercely protective and defensive of all things related to home, family, mother, community, roots. So there could be a need to like defend or protect these things. Okay, there could literally be like attacks on the homeland going on, or there could just be some very like explosive things happening in the context of the home and the family that are creating some type of, you know, need for transformation or change that is not going back to the way that it was before on some level. But this is the dynamic that we have going on with that particular energy. And then when we add the opposition to Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, like this is the establishment, this is the power structure, this is authority, this is government, this is like bosses, this is career, okay? So there's just likely to be like some type of tension, to put it mildly, that is happening in the context of the power structure, who's in charge, the rules, and an unwillingness to obey or need to defend, or a very like fired up motivation to take action to defend or protect. Or there could, you know, just be like, this is very generational. Like this could be very generational as well. We could be talking about like an older version of something coming up against a younger version of something, and the vying for the power and control going on there also. It is like it's like man versus machine. It's like the individual with Mars in the sign of Cancer. Like this is like the individual warrior. This is the soldier. Okay, like the individual soldier, like coming up against the power structure, the machine, like the general or the orders, you know what I mean? This is like an individual obeying their conscience and resisting orders, as opposed to like falling in line with a program that they feel like is doing more harm than good with the Chiron influence there. Okay, it's like people fighting back in the sign of opposing the sun in the sign of Libra. Also, people fighting back against unfair rules, laws, and systems that are doing Chiron, that are causing harm, that are causing pain, that are doing more harm than good, or with Pluto there, that are corrupt or abusing power or operating in the shadows in some type of way. So this is actually the collective taking power back, like the individual, like fighting against this. It's like the David and Goliath type of situation, you know what I mean? Like it's the rise and the reawakening of the warrior, of the spiritual warrior, with the moon conjuncting Pluto, or I mean the moon conjuncting Chiron in the sign of Aries, and then the sextile to Jupiter also in the sign of Gemini, the wise warrior archetype emerging and being activated here to like help us fight the good fight. Greatness, we are likely to see some leaders rise to the top now, okay? Like the cream is rising. Greatness is going to rise to the top now, but it's going to be like as a result of the willingness to like step forth and engage in like the good fight that is underway. There could also be, of course, as we move through this period of time, as I've been saying, this is like red flag energy. There could be some wounding or pain inflicted or that is experienced right now that functions as a catalyst for this massive transformation that is also being indicated as well. Death and rebirth, you guys. We have Scorpio energy very strong right now. Pluto is really doing his thing out there. This is very much the end of an old world, the emergence of something brand new. This concept of novelty and hyper novelty, a breakdown in authority, but no clearly defined path forward as well. Kind of like figuring it out as we go. Like that could be a generalized vibe now moving forward throughout the course of the next year, really. There's also, though, with Chiron there, a powerful ability to heal, overcome, and be released from past cycles of trauma and wounding, being, again, this theme of rebirth, reborn into this whole new version of ourselves that is realigned with actually the authentic self. It's the rebirth of the authentic self here. A lot of people are going to be fighting against it, you know what I mean? Like fighting to maintain the old ways and to keep the comfort zone and stuff like that. But you guys, we have Uranus transiting through the sign of Taurus right now, preparing to end his 7-year transit through the sign. Venus and Scorpio is opposite Uranus for this full moon as well. Shakeups are the name of the game right now. Like we are going to be released from the comfort zone in a lot of ways. A lot of things that we felt like were stable and reliable and dependable. There's going to be probably a lot of financial shakeups. That's another thing coming through here. We've got Libra and we've got Taurus, both, you know, really energetically implicated with a lot of things right now. The black moon, the south node in Libra, and also Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Venus, of course, is opposing Uranus for this full moon, while the sun in her sign is squaring Pluto and Mars and opposing the moon in Chiron. Chiron also has to do with money. There could be financial uncertainty. That definitely is a dynamic of how things play out, even on a collective level. There could be economy or market type of stuff going on, but primarily I think it's going to be powerlessness, like all themes related to power or feeling unempowered, or who has the power, or how do I feel more powerful, or what the lack of feeling powerful has done to my life, and how to, you know, live my life so I feel like a more empowered version of myself. Like these are just likely to be things and themes and like sort of like top of mind stuff that's going on here. People using power in really like ruthless and maniacal ways. That's another thing we could see with Pluto opposite Mars. That can be a tendency. People can get real ruthless out there and real just crushing nature in the context of how they're using or abusing power. But again, like stuff like that is not going to be energetically supported moving forward. So the areas and ways and means by which power is being abused right now are going to find their karmic ending at some point as we move through this process as well. So we've got the full moon, you guys. It's, again, like in the conjunction of Chiron, in the square to Pluto and Mars, highlighting the hero's journey. our personal path to overcoming the things that have happened to us and like up leveling, graduating to the next phase of our lives. This is also something that you may have found yourself experiencing more vividly over the course of the past year-ish, year and a half or so, ever since the North Node entered the sign of Aries, where Chiron is right now. This was letting us know, you know, we really were kind of collectively going to be going through this hero's journey. And this is really being emphasized again with the moon, where we've been wounded, and also what powerful forces we've had to like overcome, like what's been blocking our path, either inside of us or outside of us, or how what's been going on inside of us has been contributing to challenges we've been facing externally as a part of this process. So all of these things could be like sort of coming to a head. The sun in Libra, the balance between self and others, where others have wounded our self-perception and how we're recovering or healing from that now, or realizing maybe like how it's detached us from some level of personal truth. This is also, Chiron has a lot to do with abandonment as like a soul wound, a core wound that we have to recover from as well. In the mythology, Chiron's core wound was being abandoned by his mother. So a lot of times when you're dealing with Chiron energy, there is early childhood wounding and abandonment, betrayal type of issues that we deal with. So this is also something that could be playing into maybe the ways that we feel like we need to act or react, or the action that we need to take to move ourselves towards something or away from something else at this point as well. Libra is also about financial and material gain, and how, or the faces or the masks that we've had to wear and how we've had to behave to please or appease others to maintain that or to get that, or also maybe just to keep the peace or maintain some type of image or reputation generally. Venus ruling that Libra energy in the sign of Scorpio, sextile Pluto, 29 degrees of Capricorn, a desire for depth, passion, meaning wanting to feel deeply connected, no longer attracted to the surface level of things. As I was mentioning earlier, anything that is shallow, anything that is a facade, like it's just not going to have the appeal anymore. We are seeking depth of connection and truth and authenticity, because that is something that would be necessary if we were moving into an energy that like honored and empowered the authentic self, right? That would need to then become like more appealing so that more people want to be in alignment with that. So that dimension of it, I feel like also makes sense in the context of what this overall cosmic blueprint is doing to and for us energetically as we do move towards this Aquarius energy that's coming in. We can't hide from ourselves anymore. We can't hide from the world, and the mystery and the intensity needed to gain the greater understanding, to figure things out, to feel more like mentally and emotionally aligned. This is what is going to come as a result of our willingness to like go into the depth, to go into the darkness, and that is what we're being primed for in this energy right now as well. So things that have been going on, you guys, therefore, again, just to reiterate, in the shadows, hidden, unfair, in love, money, relationship dynamics of all kinds, they're going to be exposed. And we are going to see, you guys, a lot of relationship breakdowns, partnerships, allegiances, alliances, agreements, negotiations. A lot of that type of stuff is going to be on the rocks, very shaky, at a breaking point, perhaps. Point of no return as well. People are going to be re-identifying themselves and refusing to do things that they don't feel deeply connected to or aligned with anymore. And as a result, again, anything that's not real, anything that is not authentic, and anything that is based on something shallow or superficial, it's just going to lose its appeal. Another way that we could potentially describe the energy represented by this Aries full moon in conjunction to Chiron, it also could be like a healing crisis. You know, when things get to such a certain point, they get so bad, but that getting to that point is actually what causes the solution and the remedy and the healing. We may have reached that point as well. Crossroads, a sacrifice, a point of sacrifice also, meaning we can't continue to live our old life and become our new self at the same point in time. We may have felt like we've been sort of straddling two realities, or living like one foot in one world, one foot in the other world, for a while now, but as we move forward into this energy, we're going to become increasingly shaky and unstable, like in both worlds, if we stay straddling like that. It's interesting because throughout this entire eclipse season, and even for this full moon, we have the North Node at 7 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is a man successfully expressing himself in 2 realms at once. But the time is ticking on that, you guys. We're gonna have to go all in at some point. And again, this is sort of all in energy. The scales are tipping. So a lot of what we might be going through right now, a lot of the issues that could be coming up, maybe the conflicts or the confrontations, are likely to function in some capacity to help us like fully step into something new, or some new version of ourselves, or again, just realign with a greater sense of self-empowerment or something somehow. Betrayal and abandonment, as I said, could be a theme here. Deception exposed could be a theme here. Seeing both sides of something could be a theme here. Loyalties also very much being tested or made known could be a theme here. Things built on inverted or distorted feminine energy are being karmically released and eliminated. The position, the Sabian symbol associated with the position of the moon for this full moon in Aries is 25 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is a double promise, reveals its inner and outer meaning. Okay, so as I was saying at the beginning, one of the major themes running through this whole thing, with the aspects to Jupiter going on, with the aspects to Pluto going on, we're in this whole game right now of X-ray vision, seeing the surface and seeing beyond the surface and what's operating beneath, seeing all the layers, seeing all the dimensions, seeing under the cover, behind the curtain. And again, we are coming to understand the true source of power in things. And once we're figuring that out, for some reason, it's actually having the impact of us absorbing some of that power into ourselves and taking power back on some level, or feeling re-empowered on some level, and more able or willing or motivated, I don't know, to make some big changes to transform our lives in some type of way. Or that could just be the nature of the reality that is unfolding around us. There could just be things changing around us that we feel quite powerless. Again, the themes of power and the themes of powerlessness that we might feel quite powerless to, have any impact on. And if that's the case, we do just need to do our best to surrender to the process, with the understanding that there are major transformations happening right now to expose things that can't continue to go on. As a result of that, it's going to create all these snowball effects and dominoes and big changes, everything, everywhere. But I'm telling you, although it may look pretty bleak, it may look intense or dark or unbelievable or like insurmountable at this point, the challenges before us, as this next 20 years unfolds, things are going to make a lot more sense, and we are going to find ourselves coming out into the light in a way that is much better and much brighter and much more aligned, and makes a lot more sense than we ever could have fathomed or imagined or perceived when we started out on this journey to take back our power that is being represented by this very full moon as it's playing out right now. So on another note, you guys, we, as I mentioned, have Mercury in the sign of Scorpio right now as well. It's 6 degrees of Scorpio. That Sabian symbol is a gold rush, tears men from their native soil, which is quite representative of the dynamic of the Venus-Uranus opposition that we have going on as this full moon plays out. There is some exciting change, and there will be some unexpected value or growth or abundance on some level that comes as a result of whatever it is we're ever going through or unfolds throughout the course of this process. That is the other side of the coin that we'll be moving towards, and it is going to be a time of dynamic change in the way that a gold rush would have been also. People are going to be reinvigorated and re-inspired to seize an opportunity. Okay, that is definitely a dimension of where this energy is moving us as well. But this chart primarily, I feel like it's telling us that we do have to slay these demons first. The demons of our past and of our own mind and creation, the demons that control us through temptation and attachment, the old regimes of power and control and influence that have blocked our light and truth and kept us separated from ourselves and diminished our power and our potential and our purpose. Like, this is the battle at hand that this energetic blueprint with this full moon is indicating. This is the war that is waging, the battle of the ages that is playing out right now on an energetic level, as the energetic dominance from the past is being forced to relinquish its grip on the present and the physical, and the new energy and the new like octaves and frequencies are gaining the energetic hold over the way that things are going to progress moving forward. There is this energetic battle playing out. It's being indicated by this grand cardinal cross right here, Mars and Pluto, Capricorn and Cancer, like the authority and the people, okay, like the government and the people. And universe is calling in the warrior, the spiritual warrior, the warrior for light and truth, the warrior within all of us who are able to hear and heed the call going out right now, willing to listen, to wake up and to get it together, to make more of ourselves and to be an example and to refuse to follow the herd off the cliff. Okay, we have to become the authority at this point in time in our own lives. We have to become like the leader in our own story and in our own reality. We have to stand up for who we are and what we know is right and what we believe in. Like, we can no longer allow ourselves to be gaslit by the matrix and like propaganda and narratives into like believing down is up and up is down as the inverted feminine energy that was such a vital part of those control systems of the past is also being like cleared, purged, and released right now through everything that is playing out. We are no longer at a point where we can sacrifice our personal truth and our personal power for group cohesion and to fall in line underneath this like hierarchy. Okay, it's caused too much damage already with the Chiron moon energy telling us that, and it is what can no longer continue to persist. The full moon sextile and trine Jupiter, there is an element of luck here. Okay, we need to remember that there is an element of good luck and good fortune despite the conflict oriented nature of things maybe playing out on the ground or the war waging around us. All right, wisdom find ways to keep the peace. That's one of my favorite Manly P. Hall quotes. Big picture thinking is the key here with the trine and sextile from Jupiter. Wisdom through experience applied will release us from the karmic grips of the past that we're fighting so hard to break free from. Reason, you guys, overreaction. As I've said a couple times, this is our golden ticket. Think before you act. Successful outcomes come through wise choices, actions, and behaviors. That is our guiding principle, okay, as we go through this full moon energy. Other than that, a lot of people are probably going to be losing it again. Like, there's probably going to be, there could literally just be like attacks, like there could be like false flag type of stuff going on. There could be definitely like wars and battles and like big major attacks happening between countries and stuff like that. Geopolitical situations, like macrocosm world stage, things really heating up, these contests, these confrontations, powerful people like not backing down and really kind of like going at it. All of that, you guys. So I guess, you know, to the best of your ability, sit back and watch the show. And we want to maintain with that Jupiter energy, we want to maintain the higher perspective. We don't want to get sucked down and bogged down into like the more ego-oriented nature of the Mars energy, which a lot of people will be doing. With that moon, Mars mutual reception, that's one of the problems. The moon and Mars aren't like the most like lovey-dovey energies together. I mean, Mars is like, this is like a youthful male warrior type of energy. Mars, or the moon, of course, like this is the mother. Like, they're not the most compatible dynamics. And the problem a lot of times with this energy is it can make us like very emotionally reactive, because Mars is the ego and it's the self, and the moon is our emotions. So a lot of people, you know, if they get their feelings hurt in this energy, are going to take that as a direct attack on them and feel totally entitled to just lash out and fight back and attack. And again, Mars Pluto opposition also could be some very like over the top, ruthless, like dominating, obsessive, like just power, shows of power, I will crush you, you know, type of thing going on. So people are gonna, like, ego wounds, you guys, like people, you know, hurting people's feelings, like it's probably gonna trigger some quite explosive, like way just like over the top type of reactions. Don't get involved. As I was saying in the last video that I did, don't go looking out there for a fight, okay? If one shows up at your doorstep, Mars in the sign of Cancer, oh, it's on, you know, be there all day, warrior, defending your home, defending your family, self-defense, yes, but we are not going out there and looking to just blow off steam by getting ourselves involved in ridiculous and unnecessary drama and disputes and, you know, issues and power struggles. We've got Scorpio energy going on right now, you guys. Like, the real power here comes from our ability to control ourselves. This is the slow burn. This is this like strategic management of the way that we are using our energy with the Jupiter influence, like for the best, like with honor, with integrity. Okay, like this is how we want to proceed. Or you can just do it the other way and see what happens. So that's what I have to say, you guys, about our lovely full moon in the sign of Aries that we have playing out right now. Very powerful energy, very powerful time of year, very powerful point in history where we are at right now. Let's get a synchronicity card, get one piece of guidance or advice. Another thing I want to say, if things, as we move through this period of time, we need to just keep going. There is a chance that it's going to look like things are not working, things are not happening, like we're coming up against blockages and barriers and obstructions, and like nothing's moving forward, and, you know, authority and rules, like, you know, we could really feel like beat down by a lot of this. Keep going. Things are not as they seem. We just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even if it seems like your harvest isn't coming to harvest. Keep at it. Things are going to shift, okay? There's going to be transformations happening. We are closing out a 16-year cycle right now. In the last couple of days about it, we have major newness, major powerful energy shifts coming on the way. So Jupiter, you guys, don't lose hope, okay? Let me get the card. And on that note, our card says drink of inspiration. As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country, Proverbs 25:25. You thirst spiritually when you lack joy, peace, inspiration, and confidence. Claim the living waters of the Almighty flow through you as wisdom, truth, beauty, and as joy, harmony, power, and love. Accept this all as your own, and you will then draw from your spiritual waters all that you need to give sustenance to your soul. So, to me, this is kind of saying that if we can do our best to embody, you know, that which we wish to experience in the world around us at this point in time, that is probably gonna do as much as it can for us to kind of fill us up and hold us over on that soul level in the midst of what could, again, be kind of just like complicated or difficult, complex even, in the external world. So drink of inspiration, you guys. The most that we can do to stay spiritually aligned with like the higher truth of where this is all going and unfolding into is could be beneficial for us. So that's what I have to say, you guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in this type of astrology content as well. Please leave me comments. I'm so grateful for your feedback. I really appreciate knowing what's going on with you guys out there. If you are having, you know, things play out in your lives that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, in this video, please let me know in my comment section. That is very valuable information to me. And if if you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I post images of these boards. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We will be picking up where we left off. This full moon is actually happening on Thursday. This is my Wednesday video. So we will be hot on the heels of full moon and Aries energy for the Friday video, picking up where we left off and taking a look at what energy is doing, carrying us through the weekend. I will be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful midweek, beautiful full moon, and until next time, bye.